Hi, Elisa here. I'm going to show you how I created the fiery background to the dragon. This is a mixed media piece because I'm using Kiritaki Japanese watercolor and Prismacolor colored pencils along with, I stamped the image on archival ink on mixed media paper. So let's get started. And of course you can find this stamp with Blue Knight stamps. They're the ones that sponsors me, and I love the owner. Her name is Lynn, and she is just such a wonderful business owner. I really love her stamps. So I wanted to give that little plug. Lynn does such a good job curating her stamps, and her artists are amazing, and it just makes me happy. So I'm going to show you how I paint the background. And first I like to spray my watercolors. Again, this is Kiritaki watercolor, and I just sprayed it with my distress sprayer. It's right here, nothing too fancy. Okay, enough time wasting around. All right, so what I love about this in particular is that there's not a wrong way to do it. If you think if you're making a mess, you're doing it right, and I do mean that literally, figured. And I am not even paying attention to the lines at this point because I have colored pencils that's going to go over all the orange and the reds and the yellows that I make. I am using, I like to paint with water, meaning I like to have the yellow kind of drip down, and it is going to drip down, and pretty soon I'm going to need a paper towel, which I have handy. So when you're doing this, you are going to want your paper towel handy. And the cool thing about all of this is enjoy the process. That's the best way to explain this. If you're enjoying the process, you're going to see it in your work. People are going to notice that, wow, this looked like a lot of fun, and you're like, it was so much fun to paint. You have no idea. And they'll see that. And I, at first, when my mentor said that, when Angela Fehr said that, I thought, no way are they going to know that you were having fun painting it. But when I'm smiling and painting at the same time, like I am right now, I'm smiling, can you see? They totally see that. Okay, so I'm just dropping in. It's a wet into wet technique. And I'm not, for lack of a better word, I'm really not thinking about it. I'm just adding where I think I want the red. And again, you got to remember that this is the first wash. So if you see how light that wash is compared to this, you're going to see that the first wash doesn't really matter. So if it looks like a hot mess, you're doing it right. And then I'm adding water because I really don't want, I want it to look fiery. I don't want it to look like I painted it. I want it to look very natural. So I almost like it just the way it is. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more yellow. And then we are going to go in and, because I want some orange too. I don't want it just to be red and yellow. I want there to be orange. Okay. And then this is where your towel comes in handy. And I just, if you're making a mess, you're doing it right. That's the number one goal of this card, which is perfect for a little boy who likes to make messes. At least in my house, I have boys that, like, they wake up and my house is a disaster as soon as they wake up because they have to make messes. Okay, so that part's done. And you notice that I tilted this downwards so the water would go down, so it looks like fire is going to be moving up when you're done with it. Okay. Now I'm working on this part. And because the water is still wet at the edge, I'm not going to have a found edge, which helps. Okay. And I am going to add just a little bit more darker where I think it needs to be. And then I'm just going to let that run down a little bit. Yep. And then I'm going to call this done. Okay. So I'm moving on to my next wash. I'm actually doing two what watercolorists call washes. So I just did that one. I would let that dry. If I was going to do a bunch of them, I would paint them all one stage at a time. This one I previously painted with the same colors, and this is what it turned out. All right, so now I'm paying a little bit more attention to where I want my colors, because I already have this yellow right here that I want to try and keep yellow. I have some oranges and some reds that I really just want to highlight to make it look like there's fire. So let's begin. So again, with watercolor, you start with light and you go dark. So because there's already yellow here, I'm gonna add this right here. Okay, and that's looking good. And now I'm gonna add more of the yellow, and then it's gonna blend, and you're gonna, now this is just the game of just playing with the color. And then I'm gonna also add water to move it around. Ooh, I like that. Isn't that fun? All right, and then I'm gonna add some really red right here and kind of make it, hopefully it's gonna turn a little orange. And I'm gonna add a lot of red right here. Okay. It's really fun. I'm getting lost and not teaching. And that's what happens when you get lost in your artwork. It's just so much fun to play and then forget, oh yeah, I need to actually, so I'm just adding water and color. I want a good blend. I want it to look like fire. The best way to do that is to practice. And sometimes they work out better than other times. But if you don't practice, you're not gonna know. And I think that's the hardest thing about watercolor is when you're practicing daily, it finally just starts clicking and you're like, oh, I get it. I can finally paint this thing that used to be hard and now it's easy. And it's easy because you put in the brush miles, like my mentor, Angela, has said. So anyways, I really, if you're looking to be a watercolorist or just be more of a novice, I took all of Angela's classes to learn how to be a better watercolorist. Okay, so that's dry. I'm going to now go in with my brush, and I'm just kind of taking away some of the pigment because I really don't want the dragon to have harsh lines. And I don't see a whole lot, but I do see a couple, like right here is a little bit, and I might have to let it dry a little bit before but there. And now I would let that dry. So again, if you have more, this card is great to do multiple ones, because when one dries, then you can start on the next one. So there's that. Okay. And now I'm going to go back in, and I'm just going to add a lot of browns and use my brush to kind of add, I want it to look rocky. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm softening my edges so it looks like a natural rock form, so it doesn't look like I just went in and painted it. I wanted to use natural, my soft edges, and I want to use that watercolor to portray that value where the rock is. So that's the point of that. And then of course I see some blending that I don't love right there, so I'm just using my water and my brush. We call this clean water even though it's kind of dirty, to just soften that line so it doesn't look like there's hard lines. So, and soft lines usually have a more interesting personality than hard lines. So there's that. I can already see that over here is going to look really pretty. and right here is gonna look really pretty. So I got a good second wash down. Okay. So with that, this one is dry. This is the first wash, but it will still prove my point on how to paint or how to color the dragon in. All right, so with colored pencils, the same thing. I like to work from light to dark, but I'm using, right now I'm using violet blue from, these are all Prismacolors, blue indigo, a white to blend, and then this true blue, which to me looks like the peacock color from from the Distressings from Tim Holtz, but it's all good. All right, so I'm just, now this is where it gets really fun, and I'm just coloring. This is going to be a little bit longer of a tutorial than I usually do, but I also want to take my time and get the dragon wings perfect. And you're going to see that I'm going to use probably 3 different layers. So it is taking a while. I like to use these cards when I am waiting, you know, with the sports or dance. My daughter takes dance, and so I'll take these to her dance class and just color these and really enjoy the time that I'm waiting in dance. So now I'm taking the blue violet and I'm going in the edge. Now if you have Gamasol, you could blend it, and I think that would look just fine. My only thought with the Gamasol is that it might do something to the watercolor, so I didn't do Gamasol. But if you don't have watercolor underneath here and you found a new way to paint the fire, you could totally blend it with Gamasol, and I think that would look really fun. Now with the dragon wing, I'm just going in where I think it needs the colors, and I'm then just see, here's my 3rd layer for this wing, and it just gives it a lot of definition. It looks nice. I like it. All right. Okay. Now for the wing, because in my mind's eye, the inside of the wing should be darker. I don't know if it really is. I have never seen a dragon, but that's my thought. That's my thought process. And so I'm just coloring it with this blue indigo. I'm not messing around with the true blue because I know it needs to be darker. And I'm sure this is my way of coloring. Everyone has their own way of coloring, and I know that that is perfectly good. I like to really put it on thick because I really don't necessarily want the orange to show through unless I have to. And with the colored pencils, you can't tell that you watercolored over the whole dragon. That's what's so fun. All right, so this white, I just like to, it just gives it a neat look. You don't have to use it. It just kind of makes it pop, I think, a little bit more. Now, if you wanted to, you could go back in and shade this even more. You know, the longer you take at shading, the better it's going to look. And I think I even had this white to blend in a little bit. All right, there we go. That looks good, huh? All right, so same thing with the other wing. And I want to be careful because my values for the spikes are a lot darker. So I'm putting on a lighter touch on the back of the swing. And then same thing with the, I don't know, with the edge of the wing. I grabbed the wrong pencil. That's okay, because it's your project and you can make it look however you want. And that's what I like about art, is it's not a mistake, it's a happy accident. And yes, that is from Bob Ross, but I also, my college art teacher would always say that too. It's a happy accident, just go with it. It's okay. It was meant to do that. Your brain wanted you to do that. And that's okay. See, you can hardly tell that that I picked up the wrong color. All right. Now I got this little thing right there. I don't know what you call that, a horn? I don't know. Edge of the... All right, so now I'm going to start with the body. And I do want the body to be a little bit lighter, so I'm lightly coloring in the face. And again, this is my idea of what a dragon looks like. You might decide that there's lots of other ways to color this dragon, and you would never paint my dragon this way, and that's okay, because it's a mythical creature. It doesn't matter. I thought about a green dragon, and I think that would look really, really cool, but the blue pops with the orange and the yellows, and so that's why I chose blue. If I had maybe, I don't know what color I would... Green would work probably good with, well, red, because anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm painting it blue, and I like blue. A blue dragon it'll work well with. Okay, so now I got that base done. Now I can go in and just kind of, I'm actually gonna do my dark values so I have an idea of how dark I want my midtones to be. And that's a great trick to use. Artists do that all the time. And I just found out that, oh, I didn't color this I did not shade this wing very much. Not as much as I thought. There, that looks better. There we go. That's looking really good. And then I had this shaded. And again, I feel like the more time you take on a project, it really does show. But I also know that time is short for some of us, and I'm happy to get something like this done in an hour. Anyways, you know, I'm such a loose painter and colorer that these little details, the lines, they don't bother me because I don't think of them, I think of it as texture more than as lines. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, this stamp is way detailed, that's quite all right. Think of it as texture. Think of it as, oh, it's giving me texture instead of that I have to paint all these little dots in, because I'm not going to do that, and that is quite all right. All right, because I want to have some highlights, I'm going to take in this white. And again, once you kind of... I love this white because it just gives it a nice blending effect. And I'm sure that there's... Yeah, just like that. Doesn't that look beautiful? I just love the pop. I love the pop of the color. It makes me happy. I don't know. I really like making cards. I know there's always that talk about like, oh, do people throw away your cards? And probably do I mind? I don't really mind, because I'm doing this for me. This is my, for lack of a better word, this is my art therapy. This is what makes me happy. So I'm making this happy. If it made you happy and you liked the card enough to save it, that's awesome. But I'm doing this for me, not for not for somebody else. And I think people get that confused, and that's okay. But for me, I'd much rather make the card, give it to somebody, brighten their day, and say, you know what, that was a fun thing to do. I can't wait till tomorrow to make another card for another print. Whether they keep it or not doesn't matter, because I enjoyed it. All right, I see a couple more places that I want to be just a little bit darker, so I'm going to go in and just kind of clean that up. And I'm going to add a little bit more just because I can. Okay, I think that's good. So then to finish it, I put either pattern tape or washi tape on the back of the A2 card, and then I mounted it with foam tape, and there you go. Here's what the second layer looks like. So here's the first layer that I did, and then the second layer. So you can see a huge difference in the vibrancy. The first layer is great for a wash, but then the second layer really just pops it. And then when you color it, the dragon then matches the background. So I hope this helps. I cannot wait to give these to some of my birthday boys that I have. I have so many birthdays coming up. So thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you learn that use your materials to make the card look perfect, and keep creating, and creativity is a journey. Love the process. Thanks for watching. See you soon.